We got some big updates on the cars in the shop, and we're going to do a video today on shop updates. Let's get started. So you guys have seen the video on this 2006 Dodge Ram. I did call it an 05 in the video, and you guys are correct, it was an 06. I did get the year 1 year off, but the procedure that was done on this vehicle does apply to 05 as well. Magic Mike is finishing up the oil change. The dash went in very well. You didn't have any issues really, did you?
No, it was way easier to do than that Chevy we did a few months ago.
Way easier. A lot less stress, a lot less anger. We went ahead and got the okay from the customer. We got all new blower motor, resistor, heater core, evaporator core, all actuators, the metal upgrade flaps, basically everything new in the HVAC case. It's completely 100% rebuilt. And it's the perfect time to take care of all those things because just like the customer mentioned, they don't want to think about their HVAC case again for a long time. Money's not the issue is fix my HVAC case. So we did that. We're just doing a check over, finishing up the oil change, and before we hop over to the other updates, you guys make sure to head to Magic Mike the Mechanic YouTube channel. The link is in the description. You've got some pretty good following going on, don't you?
It's built up quite a bit recently, that's for sure. And I'm so grateful to have you and Hoovie giving me shout outs.
And you're monetized. You're an official YouTuber now.
I'm a partner program. Yep, that's right.
All right. So he's making money off of you guys now. Awesome. And we do appreciate that, by the way. So that's where we're at with the Ram. We're almost done. We'll give the customer a call pretty soon. Everything went really well. Very happy with the way it turned out. Let's take a look at the inside. You guys remember the last picture you saw looked like open heart surgery. Let's go take a look at it now. As you can see, everything is back together. So the question has been answered. Can you actually put all that back together? Yes, we did. And it went very well. It looks nice inside. Everything works. All the flaps work. The actuators work. Everything's back to functioning like it was when it was a new truck. So that'll be a really great thing for the customer to receive their truck back working again. So we were just talking about the Ram, and there was the Nova, and it's gone. I think it's actually on a road test. I actually hear them. I think they're coming back. So as you see, the Nova is alive. It's running and driving. Finally. Danielson is just road testing it today. He didn't do much of anything going on with the car. I actually took care of a lot of it myself and got it running and driving. It's taken a long time. You guys remember that we actually had it running before, but we had a really crappy batch of lifters. And I won't go into the whole spiel, but there's been a run of bad lifters around. We finally got that fixed. We got new old stock hardened lifters. You could actually see the base of them was brown because it had been hardened properly. The new set of lifters does not have that. Once we got those installed and a new cam and everything taken care of, as you heard, it idles and runs beautiful now. It's easy to think on these older cars, you got it running, you're done. No, we're not. Now we need to put about 100 miles on it and drive it and drive it and drive it because old cars have literally 400 things waiting to break on you. They would love to break you down or break down on the highway. We would like that to happen to us, not to the customer, so we got a lot of driving to do. The air conditioner needs to be verified that although it's working now, will it work a week from now? The cruise control, does it work? How does the steering feel? How is the brakes doing? Is there going to be any leaks? Is there anything else? That question isn't answered with one road test. You need literally 40 road tests. When you do major work to these older cars, you can't just get it running and hand the keys to the customer and say good luck because they probably won't make it home and something else that's old on this car is going to break. So we'd like it, like I said, to break on us. One thing we're very thankful to the customer for is it was given to us in a very good state. The fuel system wasn't trashed. It was actually properly emptied. It was clean and dry inside the fuel tank and the fuel lines. This vehicle should have been gone a long time ago, but understandably, my mechanics would rather not work on this old stuff. They're really not trained on the older stuff. So I've had to take time when I get time and piece by piece put this thing back together and get it right with the proper parts this time, and not the cheap Chinese or whatever brand lifters that it had before. And now that problem is solved. So now you guys know also the Jeep is running and driving the blue 1983 Jeep Wagoneer. So between this and the Wagoneer that's sitting back there, I have got a lot of miles of driving and driving and driving to do. I need to work the bugs out of the system on both of these vehicles. So I've definitely got my work cut out just driving. The Jeep had the similar situation with the lifters, which was also solved with new old stock hardened lifters, and it's doing very well as well. So once this is out of the shop and also the Jeep is out of the shop, that will be the last old cars I have in my shop. I will still work on one or two for Hoovie, because I've been doing business with Hoovie for 10 years or more. And I know, always know, he won't scoff at me. He will always pay his bill. And he understands the frustrations and how hard it is to work on these older cars, because you fix one thing to find out 6 other things are broken, and it's like your $500 bill is now a $5,000 bill. The nice thing about Tyler is that although he does buy hoopties, he does not buy salvage level hoopties, kind of like the Land Rover Discovery 2 that you guys just saw a video on. We'll talk about that one here in a minute. That should not have even come to a shop. And you can watch that video and check it out and see how bad it was. And you can agree it doesn't belong in a shop. Unfortunately, it belongs in a salvage yard. But this thing is alive again, but only half of the story is done. Now, like I said, I got to drive it, check everything out. And just because the cruise control works today, it may not work tomorrow, because the system is old and it's from 1979 and it hasn't ran and been used in years. So it needs to be used multiple times to verify its operation. Speaking of Land Rovers, we hopped outside real quick to show you. In the video you just saw the 2004 Land Rover that has been officially deemed going to the salvage yard. It now is parked out front and waiting for the title to show up, and once it does, it is going away for the rest of its life. There's actually a salvage yard in Kansas that all they do is old Land Rovers. We're going to contact them and see if they'd be interested in some of the parts on this. Some people have emailed me or commented about wanting to buy parts off of this thing. We're not interested in doing that. I don't want this vehicle sitting here with parts here and parts there. We're just going to get rid of it in one fell swoop to a salvage yard here in Kansas. Then we'll get that money from them and then send that money to the owner of this vehicle, so at least they get something out of it. But as you guys saw, this thing is very far gone. It will never be back on the road again. It is that far gone. So let's head back on into the shop. So one thing I've learned in a shop that actually my mentor taught me years ago is that anything that happens in a mechanic shop usually comes in threes. We haven't seen the third one yet, but it seems like the theme last month is flood cars. We had the Land Rover, which you guys seem to think it had been in a flood or Hurricane Sandy or something. Maybe it was. I don't know the full story on it. In Kansas, we don't get hurricanes, obviously, but we do get flooding, as is evident here. This customer accidentally drove through deep water and flooded the engine, and if you want to watch that video, you can also go check that one out, where we discover and determine that the engine's locked up and beyond salvage. We did contact the customer and just kind of went over it and said, you know, even if we get the engine running, all the computer modules have been soaked in water. And we all know flood vehicles, they have problems for years to come. And they will always be chasing something failed, something broke on this car, probably for the next 2 or 3 years or more. And the transmission, is it good? I don't know. The engine doesn't run. So that's another gamble. After we start talking about all the gambles and all the things that could still be wrong with this car, the customer wanted to take some time and think about the situation. She's getting in contact with insurance and just kind of seeing what's going to happen here. She said, just stop where you're at. I don't want to do anything right now. I really need to think about this. So All we can do here is provide the information, what it's going to cost. And honestly, I personally don't think it's probably worth fixing because, like I mentioned, there's always going to be problems with this car. And even if we get it running and driving, right now as it sits, there's lots of electricals in the interior that currently do not work because of the flooding situation. Is that going to be $10 or $1,000? I don't know. We're not going to dive in because the customer's not even sure they even want to even mess with this car. So it'll sit here a little while longer. We're waiting to hear back, and then it very likely will be leaving in one way or another. I don't think we're going to get to do all the work on this, but who knows? We'll see. So that's where we're at with this Malibu. So with the Cadillac XLR, you guys have watched a few videos already of me doing head studs and main stud upgrades on this engine. The car is currently not here. I'm actually driving it. But I just finished up the bottom end. The top end is done with the head studs. I still need to install the new timing chains and the cams and everything. But before I did that, I wanted to finish the bottom end, and I've actually got it done. Just like in this picture, you can see the silver colored main studs with nuts on them. No longer has bolts. So that upgrade has been done. I resealed the lower case with the GM gray sealant. I also resealed the oil manifold and also the oil pan to the oil manifold. And you can see like kind of a gray smush around all of it. It's the gray silicone that is the fix for these. So the bottom end has been upgraded to main studs and also been resealed. I still have to put the rear main seal on. That's when I get the engine off of this engine stand. A lot of people had concern that when I go to torque these main studs, it will oval out or change the main bearings. That's not the case. Jake with Northstar Performance has gotten the torque settings just right to get it back to the way that it would be with main bolts, except now it has main studs. He has done lots and hundreds, I don't know, thousands of these main studs. Nobody has had to have their engine pulled because it tore up the bearings. Everything went well, and just as well, it will go well with this engine also. So here pretty soon I'll be flipping this thing back over again, right side up. I will put the timing chains in it and the cams and get everything timed up just like it should be. I can start putting some of the accessories, the valve covers and things like that, and get it ready to show you guys the XLR body and drivetrain coming apart, just like on a Corvette. It's really, really cool. So everything's done on this engine, and we're getting ready to... Where are you going, Mrs. Wizard?
I was showing them where my car used to be.
Well, yeah, it's gone. So Mrs. Wizard is right. The 308 is gone. It's currently in Wichita at Polk Performance being tuned. He's got several other cars he's working on. He also has a full-time job. So I know ahead of time it's going to be there for a while, and I'm fine with that. I trust that he does good work. He's worked on Hoovie's Superbird and several other vehicles for other people, so it's going to be out of the picture for a little while, waiting on the tuning. I want to get it dialed in and everything perfect before we get out and romp on it and have fun with it, because I don't want to burn up the motor. But now we can start getting this thing down, which will be very, very soon. I've got driving to do on the Nova, on the Jeep, and then we can pull this thing down and start looking at it again. And the Jeep I just talked about is actually way back there. You can see it in the background. It's a dark blue 83 Jeep. I'll be glad to have those out of my hair.
You don't have any.
This one right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
On the wrong
out of
day.
my beard, I guess. Guys, Car Trek Season 9 is out. Go check it out. Go watch it. You will love it. It is very, very good. All this week is going to be Car Trek 9 coming out. You're just going to have to go. I shouldn't tell you too much about it. You're just going to have to go watch it. It's really that good. Make sure to hit the subscribe button because we've got really sweet bus videos. We've got the XLR going to be split from its drivetrain here soon. You definitely want to make sure you hit the subscribe button. And also, the kind of tools we use in the shop, everything we use to work on these cars is listed in my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut and really appreciate it. If you're having trouble finding something for Christmas for someone and they are mechanically minded, definitely hit up our Amazon affiliates link because there is tons of useful tools that will help that person do better with mechanicking. So go watch Car Trek and hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.